Welcome back very quickly. I feel like we were just with y'all yesterday. And here we are. We're back with you again. Myself, Sidney Smith, my brother to my side there, Mr. Deon Curry. If Deon don't look like his usual self, because we catching Deon fresh off with this be Deon Curry's morning. So we're catching him fresh. We're very lucky to have him. Deon, what's good, bro? Rub that sleep out your eyes.
Yeah, good morning. It is 3:00 here. Sydney was like, "Yeah, we got to do this episode," and I'm like, "You, my brother, I got your back." But forgive me if my energy is not per usual. I have not done the necessary things I do in the morning to get myself ready for a regular show. But I am happy to be back with you guys. Last night's show was very, very fun, and I'm hoping this one will be too.
Hey, I don't know if you can see it, but your name is going across your lips there, so you probably want to sit back a little bit. Unless you just want it that way. There you go. All right. So I wanted to do this show, man, because I'm a big fan of the NBA. Deon is a big fan of the NBA. I've been a fan since I was a kid. I know Deon has as well. We both grew up playing basketball. We have our favorite ball players. We're both from areas of the country where basketball is one of the most important things to wherever you grow up in the Midwest. Deon being in Indiana, definitely they have those Hoosiers and the stories and the movies, the Bob Knight, Larry Bird in Indiana State. Me being from Michigan, I have my Spartans. We have the the Fab Five over at Michigan, and we have championships. Then we have the Bad Boy Pistons and their titles. Deon has the Indiana Pacers and their tradition of Reggie Miller and some great teams that they had there with Antonio Davis, Dale Davis, that list of Mark Jackson, that list of great players who never got a title.
Don't forget the 3 ABA championships now. So we claim those around here.
All right, fine.
Because we have to. But
you got up at the crack of dawn. Go ahead and claim these 3 ABA championships. But we wanted to come on, man, and do the show. And if you guys are out there with us, give us a what up, give us a emoji or whatever. If you've never watched the show before, if you just happen to be catching it now, we normally do the show on Monday nights at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 6 p.m. my time here in Phoenix. And we normally have more people who take part in it. But if you've never seen the show, we record this thing every single week on Mondays, Facebook Live, and then it goes up as a podcast on Thursdays. I see a Facebook user has jumped out there with us. Can't see the name, but thank you for jumping in. I'm assuming it's Chelsea. I assumed it would be. Happy birthday, Chelsea. Happy birthday, girlfriend. So we wanted to do the show. Again, we're both big NBA fans. We've been watching the playoffs like so many have. And this is the best playoffs I can remember in a long time, to be honest with you. Going away from the games that I was hating last year, the play-in game, which was like, man, this is kind of exciting. I see why, the NBA wanted to keep it. And even flowing all the way through now, I find it exciting. One of my favorite players, Kawhi Leonard, for the Clippers, who I, like a lot of Clippers fans or Kawhi fans, had great, thought there was going to be great promise that they would win a title in L.A., that the Clippers would be able to unseat the Lakers as the team of LA when LeBron was there. Just a lot of at least you hope for it. You hope that this could happen. And Deon, you make the faces when they got Kawhi, Paul George. I mean, there was some real hesitation coming from that Lakers side. That, oh my God, we might get, at least for a couple of years, this won't be a battle a little bit more than it has been in the past. Come on now.
Let me stop you right there. Clipper fans, I need you to understand that you will never own LA. There's a reason why they're kicking you out of the Staples Center. You got to have your own place.
Anybody kicking you out the Staples Center? They wanted the smart thing, the thing that Sterling never seemed to cared about, which was the thing that I'm sure a lot of Clipper fans cared about. Like, why do we keep playing in the same building with this team that we hate? Why don't we have our own shit? And so now they're able to afford it, or at least they have the money to spend the money.
The reason why they didn't have their own shit is because no one cared enough. And it has been very evident throughout Clipper history that the Clippers are a terrible franchise. Don't let the Chris Paul, Blake Griffin years fool you. Don't let Kawhi and Paul George fool you. The Clippers are still a terrible franchise. They will always be the little brother to the Los Angeles Lakers. For as long as they're in Los Angeles, they will always be the Chargers of the NBA, where no one really cares. They go because it's something to do. They can get freaking Kawhi Leonard, Russell Westbrook, Paul George, Hakeem Olajuwon, Wilt Chamberlain, Oscar Robertson. They still ain't gonna win a goddamn thing in LA. It ain't gonna matter. They are the second fiddle team. They will always be the second fiddle team. When you got 17 championship banners from your big brother, okay, that's a huge shadow to fill. And you can get a new owner who's a billionaire. It ain't gonna matter. The Clippers will always be the Clippers.
With all that said, that is not why we asked for you guys to be here. That's not why we're doing the show. Another day, Deon, I will beat Deon up on this Clipper LA Laker talk, as I normally do on Monday nights. Again, don't miss the show because
Child, please.
Deon's ass. But going back to it, so Kawhi Leonard has sat, and he will be sitting again. I saw that. He'll be sitting again. I think this is game 5. So this should be 3 games in a row. He will be sitting after having some stellar performances in game 1 and game 2, where I think he averaged better than 30 points for those both those games. I, like a lot of fans, were disappointed that he was not coming back. Oh no, here we go again. He's not talking. They're saying he has a sore knee. How can this be enough that he will not play? So on and so forth. About a week or so ago, I had an acquaintance say to me, "You know, his sister just got sentenced to life in prison." And I said, "Whose sister?" And they said, "Kawhi Leonard." I said, "Get the hell out of here." So I went to go do some research on it. I've been reading up on it a little bit here and there since this friend of mine told me about this. And I started to kind of, for me, put 2 and 2 together. We have no proof of this. And part of it is because Kawhi doesn't talk about anything, whether he's really injured or not, doesn't talk about anything. And that's just been his MO. Nor does he allow the club that he plays for to say anything either. I believe when he was going to the Clippers, word was, if this leaks, I'm not coming. And that's just his MO. That's just how he goes about his business. And that's why he ran into some trouble when he was in San Antonio with Tony Parker and some of the players there as well, saying he was not as hurt as much as he was, so on and so forth. But his sister was accused, tried, convicted, and just sentenced to a lifetime in prison in California, plus 14 years for the murder and robbery of an 84-year-old woman at Pachanga Casino that happened in 2019, I want to say 2019, 2020, which that's another question altogether. What the hell took so long to get this shit completed? I'm assuming COVID was what put a halt to a lot of stuff. But Kawhi played 1 and 2, game 1, game 2. Those happened on April 16th and then April 18th. April 20th, he didn't play at all, but has not been reported. But I've heard through a couple folks that he was actually in court for his sister. And then April 21 was when he decided he was not going to play, which would have been the following day, which would have been Friday, after he would have found out. I'm sorry, he was in court. No, he's supposed to play on the 20th. I apologize. Play on the 20th. Did not play on the 20th, but was in court reportedly with his sister on the 21st and following that next day when she was convicted of life and has not been back since. So I wanted to get on and kind of talk about it because I didn't think it was fair with everything that's happening that this is not being spoken about. Deon, who stays up on almost anything that's NBA, I finally got a scoop in on him because he's like, well, I ain't heard nothing about this. Send me what you got. And I wanted to come on and talk about it because I think sometimes these things go unreported and you have someone like Kawhi and maybe other players too who take a real bashing over the head from the sports media, ESPN, FS1, and everyone else, without ever Stephen A. without ever taking this stuff into account. Deon, am I off base on this? Am I wrong? Did I wake you up early for no reason? What's your thoughts?
Well, why Kawhi is one of your favorite players, I'll never understand. He's not very entertaining to watch, in my personal opinion. He plays great defense, but offensively, it's kind of boring. But
30 man, on the 30 on the board. I mean,
but what are the highlights? Exactly.
That's the only way a player can be good is from
I said he's not very entertaining. That's all. That's all. I didn't say he wasn't any good. I didn't say that at all. I just personally, he is what the San Antonio Spurs were, a very boring
You
basketball
just took
team
a
to
shot at me
watch.
again for no reason. I mean, we supposed to be talking about the convicted murder here. I mean, I don't know why you take a shot at me.
Well, I'm taking a shot at you because you woke me up early. So now you've learned your lesson.
Fair enough.
No, but I mean, as far as him not playing, he has a history of sitting games out and load management. And so whatever criticism that people are giving based off the information they have, I feel is somewhat warranted because he controls the narrative. And the fact that he doesn't do anything with the narrative other than let people speculate is part of the problem. If you don't want people accusing you of something, then squash that shit. And, for whatever reason, that's his type of personality where he's not wanting to speak on it. I don't have a problem with that. But at the same time, you don't get to say, you guys are painting me in a bad light when you leave all this room for speculation. You could clearly come out and say, I'm going through something with personal issues. We look at Andrew Wiggins for the Golden State Warriors, who was going through some family stuff and took some time away, and everybody understood why that was happening. Kawhi not ever mentioning this to major media is a reason why he's kind of getting hit over the head with him sitting out all the time.
Yeah, but even with the Andrew Wiggins thing in Golden State, there was a lot of things happening there as far as what people were saying, and I don't have anything to confirm it at all. I don't have a problem because I'm not a journalist with saying what it was, but we don't have anything to confirm this. But there's a lot of talk that he was taking time away because he came to find out that his best friend had been sleeping with his wife, and that one of those kids or his child was not his. So he never spoke on
allegedly.
it, allegedly he never spoke on it. The Warriors never spoke on it, and nor you should speak on that at all. So I'm just saying, when you do not, for anyone, if I just went missing and wasn't on the show and we didn't do the show and I never said why, there would be people who would speculate. Did his wife kick him out? Can he not pay his internet bill? Did they come? Did their rent center come and screw up all the computer equipment?
Not rent center.
Just stuff goes out there. But to have this man taking a beating again, we just you and I. NTD is us. We're not ESPN. We're not FS1 yet. So it's just us. But I felt like someone needs to say something. I'm looking up today. You couldn't find much information on it. Excuse me, I'm going to sneeze here at some point. You couldn't find much information on it.
There we go.
Thank you. I apologize.
Bless you.
Couldn't find much information. Thank you. You couldn't find much information on it until the last couple of days. I mean, if you go on right now and you just Google Kawhi Leonard's sister convicted murderer, I guarantee you most reports you'll find will be 2 days, 1 day old. Maybe you'll find one that's 3 days old. No one has been reporting on this. No one has been talking about this. So I do think it is unfair when these things start to come out. And they're not being leaked out by Joe Blow, no name, and someone in his mother's closet. I mean, it's the local news. I believe one is with LA, with the local LA news. Another one was, I believe, with the local CBS, I believe, is another report that you can find on there. USA Today has finally put out an article about it. So there is information coming out. I think this is kind of like what we talked about yesterday when it comes to politics. Even with sports, it seems like if it's not salacious, it's not worth really reporting on it.
Well, I mean, you have to look at the news cycle that we're in, where we're in a 24-hour news cycle, and what people consider to be news nowadays is very, very subjective. Kawhi is not a big star in terms of marketing, so most people aren't going to be aware of Kawhi's accolades, and you don't see him in very many commercials. You don't hear Kawhi. He doesn't have his own podcast. He's not out here, making TikToks and whatnot like some of the other NBA players do. So he's not one of the guys that is very marketable when it comes to, just public relations in general. So the fact that he's a very private person kind of lends itself to the secrecy of this story. I didn't even know he had 4 sisters until you sent me those links earlier today. And again, I don't think that's information that I really need. I'm not a Kawhi fan or hater.
I wouldn't have known either. I thought about 4 sisters. I thought maybe just the one that was convicted and sentenced, but 4.
I didn't even know his dad passed. In one of the articles, it talks about his father being murdered. I didn't know that. I thought his father was still alive. I thought his father was part of the San Antonio debacle, which obviously he wasn't because he was still in high school when his dad passed. So I just, Kawhi to me is kind of the enigma NBA player. He's anti what the game is today in terms of his personality. He is a more of an old school throwback type of player where, before social media was a thing, he would be considered one of the stars. But now in today's social media climate, he's not. He doesn't get the press and the I don't want to say scrutiny because he is getting scrutinized for all the games that he missed due to load management. But I mean, knee issues are one thing. The personal stuff is another. And I give him a pass for the personal stuff because, I mean, it is personal. If you don't want your business out there, you have every right to your privacy. And people like us can only speculate on, what you're really going through.
And we're speculating right now for those of you who are just jumping on with us and wonder why the hell we're talking about NBA basketball and Kawhi Leonard, which we don't do much. Mostly we don't do it because we don't think we have the fans who want to listen and watch it. So we don't. We don't. We have so much sports stuff we want to talk about sometimes. Like, we don't think people want to sit watch it, or at least not the people who are engaged with our show. But his sister, Kamisha Williams, he has 4 sisters. He's the youngest of 5. But his older sister, Kamisha Williams, she was convicted along with her. Along with her, the word it just left me. She was convicted along with Candace Townsend. Thank you, her accomplice, Candace Townsend, Townsend, for murdering an 84-year-old woman. I had her name here. Afaf Assad, 84 years old, killed in a female bathroom at Pechanga Casino in California. If you've ever been to Pechanga, it's a pretty nice casino. I've worked at that comedy club there. I've stayed in the rooms, very, very nice rooms. I've stayed at that casino, very nice casino. From the report that I read, she and her husband, 90-something-year-old husband, were walking into the casino as these two were exiting. And they saw her and decided, go ahead and hit this lick, and followed her into the woman's restroom and robbed her. The woman died from some type of fracture of her skull. Kamisha says she didn't kill her. Never really says Candace does it. Candace never said a word in court. So who knows who did what? But Kamisha, I didn't see what Candace had been sentenced to be honest with you. Could very well that Kamisha took all of the fucking weight on this one, very possibly. But I didn't see what Candace had been sentenced to because I don't know. I didn't care that much. That's not where my attention was. But 84-year-old woman they killed at Pechanga Casino.
Yeah, I really, really hate thieves, and especially thieves who prey on the elderly. To go to a casino to case both of these individuals had prior theft charges against them, and to hear that they were about to leave and these people, this woman was in the wrong place at the wrong time, and she's out enjoying the day with her husband, and she says, honey, I'm gonna go to the bathroom," and he goes off to the gaming table and he never sees her alive again. It's absolutely heartbreaking. And then to have her come out and say, "Well, I didn't kill her." Well, but you did, though. You did kill her because you preyed on her. You saw that she was an elderly woman, defenseless at the hands of the two of you, and for what, $1,200, you took this woman's life. I mean, just to me,
and that's what I was going to say. I want you to go on, but that's what I was going to say. Estimated $800 to $1,200 is all I got from this woman.
Yeah, just to spend the rest of your life in prison over $1,200 because you saw someone as a victim instead of a human being. It's really heartbreaking, especially when you have a brother who is a multi-millionaire in the NBA, one of the league's top 10 best players. The decision making and the thought process behind all of this was egregiously terrible. And I don't know which one of them pushed the woman down to where she, fractured her skull and had a brain hemorrhage. But this woman had a family, and, she says she apologizes, but at the same time, it's like, how do you apologize for killing somebody for $1,200? Like, I don't understand it.
The apology is going to be negated too. I think all apologies, this should be just a rule of thumb. If you end your apology with "only God can judge me," your apology that came before has been negated. because she,
The great album. What are you saying?
Unless Tupac rises out the grave to rap this right now, right here next to you, you can't say it. And it is a great album, though. But you can't say it. She does give the apology. And also, I'm sorry for it. I pray for your family every day. I did, but it wasn't me. But only God can judge me.
Okay, Shaggy. Like, yeah.
There's a remix. Yeah, it's a remix of Shaggy and Tupac and whatever other nonsense. I believe this is Chelsea as well. Larry said he just heard about it this morning as well. Chelsea, I believe, says it's the casino on Indian land.
No, that's Mary Ballard.
Oh, Mary. Hey, Mary. Mary, I went ahead and looked it up. Yes, it is on Indian land. The Pechanga Resort and Casino is an Indian casino on the Pechanga Indian Reservation in Temecula, California. And then my question, he and his sister are adults. Why is he allowed to miss work no matter what work is? Because she's convicted of murder. I would say this, and this goes to maybe the question you asked now and you asked this morning when we were speaking about this. Your brother's a millionaire. Why are you robbing this elderly person at a casino? And there's a lot of different degrees of why that might be. But I would also like to think, to your question, Facebook users, I'm assuming that
was Mary.
If you have siblings, and Deon, you have siblings, I have siblings, Mary, I don't know if you have any at all, Mary, so let us know. But if something like this was to happen to one of my siblings, that would be heartbreaking for me. And so I don't know if I would be able to do my job either. At minimum, maybe just go sit on the bench. I like to think I would be able to do that. But to know that my sibling was going away for life, I think would be that I'm not someone who walks around with a heart like that for almost anything. But the four of us are very close. And if something like that happened, I think that would do a little something to me, at least for a little while. Your thoughts between you and your siblings, how would you feel if it was you?
I'm close with three.
With Mary at all?
I'm close with three of my four brothers. The one I'm not close with, he chose that path, and that's the bed that he has to lie in. I keep moving forward, but at the same time, I kind of agree with Mary. Like, you do have a job to do. He was at the trial. He knew about what she had done. He knew about her situation prior to what she had done. So it wasn't like he didn't have the means or ability to kind of take her out of that environment, if you will. Granted, she's her own person and she can make decisions, and she did what she did, so she has to, reap what she sown. But for me, I think the best place for him to be is with his teammates and on the court to, kind of insulate himself from that feeling of I'm losing a sibling, so you go to your brotherhood of, the people who have got your back on your work side, and, you invest some of your emotional energy into that camaraderie and brotherhood. And maybe you guys pull off an upset and beat the Phoenix Suns, but I don't see that happening, especially if he sits out another game. I do believe they're up 3-1, are they not?
Yes, they're 3-1. They're playing, I think the game is tonight, and he's sitting out again.
So your season is on the line. So not only do you have to deal with your sister being sentenced to life without parole, but now your professional life for this year is on the line and you're not playing. I mean, to me, that speaks of a mindset that I don't necessarily agree personally. I mean, if you're physically able to play and to contribute, then I would hope that would be something that you would want to do, not only for yourself, but for your brothers who you've worked all 82 games plus to get to this point. I mean, it's one of those things where I understand the emotional weight of it. I don't know how close he is with his sister. I'm very close to my three brothers, and that would weigh really, really heavy on me. But as professional entertainers, Sid, you and I both know the show must go on. Um, the only time you cancel a show is for death. So she's not dead. She's just lost her freedom. So you got to go to work.
Well, but I would say this: I would give him the allowance. Now, I'm saying I don't know if I would be able to do much of anything for the immediate future, meaning the first week to 2 weeks. I would probably have to be someplace on my own because I'm not really as much as you and I speak for a living. I don't really like to communicate when things hit me like that. So it's not something where I would even want to sit around and speak to anyone. But I think I would just need to be within myself for a while, just by myself to just do whatever I need to do to maintain it. But I think we have to give an allowance that everyone deals with things differently. Mary over here, I'm sure is this. I'm sure this is. I mean, I'm a Suns fan, so sit out. But that's just selfish to your teammates. So I'm sure it's Mary that said that.
That
Phoenix,
is.
and Mary, you're right. Phoenix fans, I love the fact that Kawhi's not playing because we want to make it to that next round. But I think when you look back on it, Kobe had the rape charge against him and went out and what did he put 50 on somebody, 60 on somebody, something along those lines. Like the next day, I think everyone handles life and attacks things differently. I think if it has something to do with me, myself, I would continue like nothing. There was no problem because that's how I would approach it. Because I would feel like that's my way of having control over the situation. But when something happens to a family member and you really are defenseless. I mean, he's from some things I had heard, he also paid for her defense as well. So when you are doing what you can to control a situation that is not your situation, and I think when it falls back to like, man, I did everything I could. I wish I could have done more, or the result was not what you'd hoped for. I think that maybe can do something to you emotionally and mentally, and can sit you down. The sore knee, I can't believe that there's anything else other than this. I do not think Kawhi would sit with just a sore knee because it is the playoffs. I think he plays with a sore knee. If it was something more a tear or what he thought might be a tear, I think he would sit. I think this is weighing heavy on him. And I think there is a real injustice that more of the main outlets have not been on top of this and covering this, along with the fact that he's sitting.
Well, for his peace of mind, I'm kind of happy that it's not being blasted off, across mainstream media. Because again, I feel there is a certain level of privacy that you should be able to maintain to separate your work life from your home life. And I don't have a problem giving him that grace. I agree. I don't think the knee is what is keeping him out of this potential elimination game. But as far as his legacy is concerned, these are the types of moments where you kind of have to, put everything aside and do the job that you're paid to do. And if he is able to participate in the game, I would hope not only for himself, but for his teammates and for that organization and for the fans of that organization, that he would do anything and everything he could in his power to perform his job. It's one of those things where sometimes when you go through something that's really tragic and tough and hard, that being in the element that you thrive in the most is where you kind of find solace, and you can rise to a level that you didn't necessarily have before that tragic event happened. I mean, you look at Kobe, he was out here literally playing for his life, and he was like, I'm gonna beat this case on the court. And for Kawhi, maybe this is an opportunity to take out all of his anger and frustration and sadness out on the Phoenix Suns in a pivotal game 5 and give them a chance to return back to the Staples Center and, have another chance at winning the series. My personal opinion, if it were me, I would go and play. I would go and do the show because sitting at home isn't going to help in the long run. I feel like it would be a regret of mine if I didn't do anything and everything I could in my power to kind of overcome that sadness that I'm feeling. Granted, I'm going to be perfectly fine with him sitting out for whatever reason he deems is necessary, whether it's his knee or personal matters, as they would put on the did not play report.
I want to go back to the comments here real quick. Again, if you're brand new watching the show, this is what we do. Deon and I communicate obviously with you all and with each other, and then we go to the comments here, as you've seen me do. If you're just jumping in, never watched, now it's debatable. Mary, I'm assuming this again. Only Mary would say this to me. As far as, well, she's not the only one, but she's the only one today that I know that's one that would. Because I call BS, Sidney. You are too competitive to sit out no matter what was going on. Mary, yes, I am hyper competitive. But my siblings and I are very, very, very close. I don't know what I would do if anything was to happen to any of the three of them. So I'm going to politely disagree with you and pray that we never have to find out. But if it was anybody else, you're right. I'm probably on the court dribbling. I'm hitting a tennis ball. I'm here sitting with my brother doing this. Anybody else, the four of us, we're very, very, very close. I'm going to tell you how close we are. And Deon's probably going to laugh at me. Deon was there for one of these occasions because Deon was at my wedding. When I got married, we all cried. It was all of them. When my baby brother got married the following year, all four of us cried together. And I'm talking about during the ceremony, all of us just boo-hooing. And then when my other brother, who's 2 years younger than I, got married the year after that, all four of us cried like blubbering babies again while he was standing up there getting married. So again, we are all close. We all feel everything for one another. We don't feel much for a lot of other people outside of the four of us. I'm gonna be completely honest with you. So you gotta. I've sat at funerals and just kind of watch my watch, like when we getting up out of here. Because that's how we were raised. We're just not built that way. But it comes to the four of us, we are very, very, very close. So again, pray I don't have to worry about this happening. Have to figure this out. Not anytime soon, anyway, because we almost died. But yeah, I mean, you could be. I'm going to argue that you're wrong, but who's to say? Royce Bellamy says right behind that, though, how do you have a sore knee playing in orthopedic shoes? So he's
who said that?
Well, my guy Royce Bellamy said that about. So of course, if you're a fan of basketball at all, or just watched the game and saw Kawhi's shoes are never really that great looking.
Isn't he partnered with New Balance?
Yes, he is.
So there you go.
So his feet are surely comfortable because New Balance, you're going to have a hard time not being comfortable if you're walking around in a pair of New Balance. But they're definitely not some shoes that anybody I know who's ever touched the basketball, I'm about to go buy them. I'm about to go cop them.
New Balances are the shoes of fathers all around the world.
I don't even know. They're so bad that Nike had some shoes. I really love the Pegasus. And they changed the design of them. And I said, tell me what you think of these shoes. She said, those are like somebody's dad's shoes. So, and I kind of
New Balances are the number one shoes for grass cutters everywhere.
The crazy thing was, I couldn't believe New Balance gave him that kind of money because there was no way they were recouping that money. There's no way you're making back this money. No one's buying these shoes.
No athletic person is buying those shoes, that's for sure. But I guarantee you there's a dad out there somewhere looking for a fanny pack and some coupons to get his tractor discounted. Going, ooh, these shoes look comfortable.
And of all the New Balance you've seen, you've never seen anyone ever in a pair of high tops. New Balance ever. Not on the court or off the court. So
I've never seen anybody in a pair of New Balances. Every New Balance shoe I've ever seen has been old as hell. Like, when did you get those?
Let's see here. Sue says that's awesome. Ed and his sister are that close, so that makes sense. Thank you. Ed would be Mary's husband. Fine gentleman. Great supporter. And Roy says the dad bought 7, so that's what he's naming a white shoe. And so I don't know who put this up. I own New Balances. I'm a dad.
Chelsea.
You're not a dad, and I don't know why you wear New Balance. What's going on? New Balance send coupons once a quarter. Oh, okay. So there you go. Nike is actually on the internet and has an app. So you can get that stuff through them as well. I feel like New Balance is actually sending coupons. Like you get the little coupon book. There's a New Balance coupon if you just flip through them pages, one in there. 20% off your next lawnmower if you buy a new pair. Go in there, sure you bought a new pair of shoes for New Balance.
I'm pretty sure if you get a lawnmower at a garage sale, it comes with a pair of New Balance. Which is crazy because you don't have no balance in those shoes. So I don't understand the whole marketing concept. And as a sneakerhead, you know good hell well New Balances have no business being on people's feet outside of cutting grass. I don't know shit about shoes, but I know I've never put my feet in no New Balances.
Chelsea's
now some Asics, I'll rock those.
which is a runner shoe. Chelsea is nowhere close to being of the age or the sex. Don't wear some New Balance, but do what you do, girlfriend. She's like, I work with animals. I get shit and blood and vomit and other body fluids on them all the time. What other shoes should I wear? LOL. Okay, so you rocking them like nurses rock a pair of nurse shoes or some Under Armours or something.
I mean, it makes perfect sense. Animal fluids do belong on New Balances. So I'm glad you got your feet covered there, Chelsea.
Yeah, man, this is just something I wanted to hop on, man, and talk about because no one is really not talking. I'm.
Did you see what Mary just said?
What she say? They're so comfortable. Man, it's good. Something I wanted to jump on, man, because look, I know the talking heads, and to a certain extent, that's what we are. But the talking heads, you got to look for your stuff that you can throw up for clickbait and all those different things. And I think personally, Deon and I do a terrible job at just saying stuff for clickbait because we absolutely both want to have some type of substance to what we're talking about. We actually want to do research before we say things. So sometimes when I go back and I look at, okay, what can I edit? What clip can I throw up? What's going to get? I'm like, man, we do a terrible job at fucking clickbait because we just don't say anything that people say, I can't believe them black motherfuckers say some shit like that. But they've been saying a lot of things about Kawhi again, about him not playing, taking all his history and throwing that in here, and just a simple check. And maybe they do know, and they're just ignoring it because they don't want to talk about it, maybe for whatever reason, or maybe because that's not enough clickbait to keep the story of Kawhi just letting his team down move further along. I don't know. I just thought this deserved a little bit of attention, at least from us, if nobody else.
In my personal opinion, I'm kind of glad that this story hasn't been, because again, I don't want people. I think it's unfair to Kawhi and his family and to the victims of this crime for it to be made into something other than what it should be, which is these two women committed a crime, were charged and convicted, and this other family lost someone they love and care about, and to make the story about why Kawhi is playing or not playing kind of takes away from the justice that this family was seeking and finally got. So I'm for it not being a huge story. Again, you and I, we do this podcast because we love to have these conversations. We aren't some two guys who get on here and, look for the clickbait topic or, the things that can make people go viral, if you will. We are guys of substance. So, this is the type of thing that I'm glad he's been given some means of grace for. But at the end of the day, I think, it should be focused on basketball and, what he does off the court shouldn't necessarily come into play in this instance.
And for me, I would love for everyone's business to be their business. As I said before, I'm a very private person. Deon is private, believe it or not, as well. But I think if you are in the public eye and people want to take shots, then you should do your due diligence to have all of the information and present all of the information. Again, probably why we don't do a great job at clickbaiting things.
I mean, but think
the
about
podcast.
it from this point of view. I mean, when you do something positive in the community and you um, tell people about it, they look at you a certain way. Oh, you only just doing that for clout. You know, when you got
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
guys like Mr. Beast who go out and pay for all these peoples to get their eye surgery so that they can gain their vision. You know, the internet was going crazy over this act of kindness, saying, "Oh, he's only doing it for YouTube views, blah 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 blah." So it's one of those things where it's kind of a catch-22, where if you do something positive and great and it gets notoriety, people still going to speculate whether you did it for the right reason. Whereas if you don't say anything, it's, oh, we don't know about it, and so you're not doing it. It's one of those types of situations.
Yeah, you have a great point. And again, I'm glad we got a chance to talk about it. I see Larry say he's got to go. He said we should do more sport topics. Maybe Deon can give a parlay tip of the week. Larry, that is something that is still in the works. I know I promised it would drop last year and it didn't. Forgive me, I'm a busy guy, but it's still coming, Larry.
I've
We got
I've
to do some
won
sports stuff.
I've won my last three bets. They weren't big amounts of money, but I did win my last three bets. The Nuggets had me, not the Nuggets, the Lakers had me sweating last night when that game went to overtime. I had a plus 175 parlay with Miami and the Lakers, and thank you, LeBron. Thank you, Dylan Brooks.
What's sad for the Suns is if they move to the next round, this is what I'm reading, it will come out as the reason why. I don't know if you can really say that. Maybe some people will. I still think the Suns would have beat the Clippers, even with Kawhi. I just, I wish he had played. Again, one of my favorite players, even though his game is boring, Deion, for sure. But he's one of my favorite players. I like people who keep their head down and just go to work. And someone said, I'm glad we got to talk about it, but also glad it wasn't huge. Thank
That
you
was
guys
Mary
again for
both times.
Mary again. Okay. So thank you guys again. Royce, thanks for jumping on, brother. I know you got stuff you got to do. Larry, thank you for jumping in. Thank you. Marissa was in with us earlier. Thank you, Chelsea. Happy birthday again. Thank you, Mary. Thank whoever is able to watch later. Appreciate it. Shout out to our folks who are going to hear this on the podcast as well. Don't forget, you can go ahead and subscribe right now to the podcast also. So thank you guys. Deon, I appreciate you for jumping on, brother.
Absolutely. Thank you guys so much for joining us in this special edition. I hope you guys have a great Tuesday and look forward to seeing you guys Monday night.
Monday night. See you guys.